Hey everyone, this is Stephen. It's the 26th of October 2016, which is now only 13 days until the US presidential election, and interestingly, today it's the anniversary of the shootout at the OK Corral, which perhaps is appropriate foreshadowing for an election that is turning into one of the defining battles of US history. This is a great time of year to be talking about bots. In a lot of cases, they're going to be used as a marketing tool in a retail context in the run-up to Christmas, which is of course itself only 59 days away now. So, an official welcome to FlowXO's Getting Started webcast, where we'll get you up and running with FlowXO with an introduction to its key features and benefits. Before we get onto the webcast proper, a quick shout out to our hashtag #WhatTheBot. You can follow #WhatTheBot on Twitter to keep up to date with all the latest bot news. It's a great source of inspiration and it will keep you up to date with all the latest ways to leverage a bot in your business. We seem to have a flurry of interesting bots a few weeks ago, but just recently we've dried up a little bit. I have a couple of stories for you right now. One example of a real mainstream use case, although it is a little bit constrained, and we have one potential catalyst for some really great bots. So let's just take a look at those. First of all, over on the Bank of America, over on CNBC covering Bank of America, they've launched a bot inside their existing app, so it is a little bit constrained. It's not going to be available on all messengers, but they've even had a little attempt at some AI in there as well. It's a relatively simple bot. Again, the simple use cases are always going to be the strongest ones for bots, but it's a simple use case. It lets you check your balance, gives you suggestions on what you shouldn't be spending, and allows you to transfer money to other people that are linked up. So, you know, bots are reaching the mainstream. That's why I wanted to show this particular story. The other story I wanted to show you featured over on TechCrunch. Facebook Messenger now supports PayPal payments in bots and will track your PayPal receipts. So taking payments through bots, a few months ago I'd have said, you know, forget about it. It's not going to happen. You know, they're probably not going to make this work for a long time. Whereas now I'm inclined to say, wow, you know, the doors have really opened up, and you know, people are going to be processing payments through messengers. I don't think it's the best use case for a bot personally. I think, you know, payment and transactions are best kept inside a web store where you might want to view a shopping trolley and take things out and put things in before you make the payment. But for simple payments, you know, one-off transactions perhaps still work. You know, I'd love to see somebody build a really great bot and give me a shout and let me know what that looks like. Okay, let's get on to some bot building. By this point, you'll have signed up for a FlowXO account and connected up your messenger bot. You may have started to build up some flows already too, which is great, but if so, you might consider turning them off for this session so as not to interfere with the ones that we'll build. A quick reminder, what is FlowXO? FlowXO is a complete platform for building, hosting and managing chatbots for messaging platforms such as Messenger, Slack and Telegram. It's also the future of business messaging, as you can see. It includes a visual editor to build bots without code. Everything is driven by a set of flows which can build with certain tasks. You can create and distribute your own bots which are owned and branded by you but controlled and hosted by FlowXO. I'm running this cast live so that I can maximize your time and provide everything you need to get started right in this session. Let us solve any queries and give any guidance you need right away. There's live chat over in the YouTube channel, so by all means get talking to the team and I over there on the right. Let us know what you'd like to see and perhaps we can bolt that onto the end. Okay, down to business. Let's get over to my desktop. My example business for today is the bot store. The bot store sells a range of bot requirements, memory and computer chips, of course bots, and I have a Facebook page in place. Some more context, the bot store simply wants to communicate with customers better, provide a more engaging experience, divert basic queries away from the resource intensive phone line, and ultimately sell more. So let's put a bot in place that helps them achieve that. Down here at the bottom. Sorry if you've lost contact with me. OBS, the software I'm using to launch the cast has just gone down temporarily, but it should have come back online, so apologies for any interruptions. Like you hopefully have at this stage, I've already got my bot in action on Messenger. I've launched him, I've clicked get started, and he's ready for conversation. So he's introduced himself, but he won't do much else just yet. So let's change that. So here we are at the FlowXO dashboard. Just a quick shout out at this stage about our new release. We've now got the option to invite your friends to receive rewards. If you take a look at the link just over there under the folders section, you'll see that you can earn extra interactions and bots or flows by referring to your friends. So please do take advantage of that and let us know how you get on. First, let's consider what flows we want to build to meet our objectives and the features we'll look at. Well, first of all, we'd like to manage general bot conversation, asking questions and providing a rich content experience to the end user. We'd like to look at using the attribute service to track information about a customer who interacts with the bot. We would like to use FlowXO's or one of FlowXO's 94 and counting service integrations to superpower our bot. We're going to look at incorporating live human agent interaction through the messenger interface, getting all the value of a bot for simple queries and relying on tried and tested human support when required. And we're going to look at responding when the bot doesn't understand something through a catch-all and improving the bot experience overall. Let's get started building out some flows. Just a hi to Sam, who's just joined us in live chat. Nice to see you. Let us know what you'd like to see, if there's anything in particular. So let's get on to our first flow. In our first flow, we'll answer a simple FAQ. Let's answer how to find us. So I'll call this first flow how to find us. And first of all, I'm going to trigger when the customer gives us the keyword where, but also how to find us. Then, this time, I'm going to ask a question back to the customer. And I'm just going to ask a simple text-based question. Alternatively, I might want to offer the customer a set of choices that they can pick from. But we're just going to use text. And now I can send some rich content. I'm going to send a reply as a messenger card with the sender card action, incorporating an image and a dynamic link courtesy of Google Maps, which will generate directions based on the postcode that the customer gave us. And I just need to change this variable here to the customer's answer. Finally, I must remember to turn this workflow on at the top here, and we can try that out in Messenger. I'll trigger on the keyword where. I'll give my postcode. And then I'll be given the card, and I can click that to get the result in a new tab, which is my directions. Back in FlowXO, just before we leave this flow, this is a good opportunity to introduce FlowXO logs. They're here under options. You can see that whenever a flow runs, excuse me, Just do a refresh here. Okay, we'll come back and take a look at the logs in a few minutes. That's our first flow in place, and it's already up and running in Messenger. You can see how easy that was to set up, and you can see how I could very easily copy this workflow and trigger on other keywords to answer simple questions. For now, however, we'll build a brand new flow. So it's useful to keep track of customer interactions. Eventually, you might want to perform some analytics. You can keep track of customer responses and preferences through FlowXO's attributes service. Attributes can act like a counter, how many times somebody visited, or a flag, somebody said a specific word. Let's assume we have a customer that asked the bot 3 times about a specific product, in this case, cats. I was determined to get cats into this presentation somewhere, and this is as good a place as any. We'd like to make an offer to customers that come and ask about this product regularly. So let's name this flow Product Inquiries Cats. First, we'll trigger on the keyword cat. Next, we'll set an attribute as soon as this flow is triggered. I just need to give its name that I'd like to call it, and I'm going to set its value to +1. This creates the attribute for this specific customer and sets this attribute to 0 initially, but increments it by 1 every time this flow is run. Then we'll immediately retrieve the same attribute so that it can use its value in this flow. I just need to give its name in this action to retrieve it. Get an attribute, and the attribute is cat. We'll keep this interaction immersive by sending a message introducing the content. And then we'll give some rich content again in the form of the products we have under cats. We'll use sender card set. Next, I'm going to send a message and send a card, but these are going to be conditional on the attribute value. In this case, we know that's the number of times that this flow has been triggered, and the specific customer has mentioned cat. So just to revisit these tasks, I only want to do these last 2 actions if our attribute equals 3. I'm going to add a filter. We're going to use the attribute value. and is greater than or equal to 3. As always, got to remember to turn this workflow on. Excuse me. And over in Messenger, we can trigger on the keyword cat. And I'll be given some details. If I ask that again, I'll be told the products again, and once more. And this time, since the attribute is 3 or greater, I'm also given a special message as a returning customer and a coupon to use in store. Attributes are a really powerful way of remembering things about a customer, what they've told you or otherwise. They can also be anything you want to store about this customer in Messenger, such as name, age, or a certain preference. Moving on, in Flow 3, we'll configure a flow that allows the customer to contact a human agent directly inside the Messenger interface. We'll offer the option to talk to us. First, we add the trigger. And we're going to trigger on talk to us, the phrase, the word talk, and the word reply. You'll see why that last word is important shortly. Then we'll ask a question asking for further information about the customer's query. We're going to use the customer's response in a message to the agent. So now we'll configure this action to send a message to a human agent, in this case in Gmail. And we're going to add 2 shortcuts, reply to human and speak to bot. A big thing to note here, I've used Gmail, but it's easy to see how this would function easily with Zendesk, with Help Scout, with Freshdesk, or any other support ticketing software. The idea is that a ticket would be created directly inside that software and routed accordingly. You can route messages directly from the bot to a live human agent and have them take over the conversation when required. That provides the perfect blend of bot and human interaction right inside your existing apps. Finally, here we'll send a message to the user to let them know a human agent will be in touch. Thanks, I've sent a message to the human agent. They should get back to you in 2 to 3 hours. Don't forget that you can reply to the response directly when you get it. Of course, you can continue speaking to me too. As always, turn this flow on. And now let's run this flow in Messenger and we'll see the email come through to Gmail. There's our message, and over in Gmail I can see that the message is received, and as the human agent I can reply directly in order to send the message directly back into the Messenger channel. Let's do that. And over in Messenger, there's the reply we just sent. I can now choose from those shortcuts, reply to human or speak to bot. And again, this is why our reply keyword was important in the trigger that we built, so that it starts this cycle again and we can reply to the human and send it over to Gmail. Alternatively, I can just continue speaking to the bot if I've got everything I need. Let's move on. We'll look at flow 4 now, our fourth flow. Sometimes a user will require specific help. They may have an edge case, or they're just struggling to be understood by the bot. Here we'll build a new flow which gives some explicit options. This is a simple flow, again, that gives us explicit options to ask as a last resort when the natural conversation has broken down. We simply respond with the triggers that we've built for the other flows, so we know the customer will trigger the flow that they want. We'll call this workflow help. And we will trigger on both help and, from our previous flow, speak to bot. You remember that that would be triggered in our previous flow if the person didn't want to speak to a human but would rather speak to a bot. We'll then respond with a simple message. Which is just going to direct the user back to the flows that we do have in place. And turning that flow on. Over in Messenger, I'll ask help. And these then are the triggers to the flows that I can answer questions on with the bot automatically. Just a quick look at the logs. You can see here that everything that's happened in the bot has been tracked. So this was the new message that we received, who the user was and what they said, and the type of message. And this is what the bot did in response. So the logs are a really great way of working out what people are saying to you, how you're responding. If things go wrong, you can always visit the logs to work them out. In our final flow, we'll consider what happens when the bot doesn't understand something that was said to it. We already have a few flows in place that are looking for specific keywords or phrases. So let's catch the case where we give the bot something it won't recognize and gently guide the user back to things they can ask about, or the help option. We can do that with a catch-all. We don't need to give any input to the catch-all. We're looking for everything that won't trigger another flow. So that means that this flow will run in the absence of any other flows being triggered when someone speaks to the bot. Then we'll give some text to the bot, gently guiding the user back to the things they can ask about. So here are some gentle directions to what we can ask about, and a reference to the help function, the help flow as well, if it's really required. Turn the flow on. Over in Messenger, we'll say something we know the bot doesn't understand, and we'll get that gentle reminder text just telling us the things that we can ask about, or help for explicit options. Now, it'd be useful to keep track of all the things that are said to the bot that we don't recognize, like for instance another frequently asked question, opening hours. Where is the bot not helping that it could provide some real benefit? We'll use a FlowXO service integration to Google Sheets to track all the things that are said that trigger the catch-all. Here's Google Sheets again and how that's set up. So I need a name in each column and one row of sample data to begin with. Back in FlowXO, I'll add my Google Sheets action with add a row. Make sure I select the right sheet and the new flows worksheet. The response path is given to us. The name of this customer is given to us. And the caught word or phrase is what this person said, the message that we didn't understand. And this time, over in Messenger, when I say opening hours, I've got the catch-all text again, but this time in my Google Sheet I've also tracked that caught word or phrase. So you can see here that my next logical step would to be build a flow that uses opening hours as its trigger, so that that's one question that the bot can answer for us. This leads us nicely on to next steps. You can see here we have the basis of a really good bot. Gives us directions to our store and tells the customers what products we stock based on their requirement. It also gives a little nudge with an offer to get people into store when they ask repeatedly about the same thing. From here, it makes sense to answer more FAQs, like how to find us was the one we put in place, but then we could add opening hours, and we could give details on more products that we stock. A finishing touch, you might want to add some options you've configured to a persistent menu. You can do that here. And just a quick refresh in Messenger, and you can see my persistent menu appears. So that will trigger the keywords as we've already seen. Other things to consider, you'll want to think about you integrate with other services that you're using in the office, mailing tools, CRM platforms or databases. Of course, to do all that, you'll need more flows that are available on the free edition. So this is it, crunch time. I hope you've seen how easy it is to get started, and those next steps have given you a good indication of what you'll build next. Here's what pricing looks like. For only $19 a month, you can build 15 bots or flows and accommodate 5,000 interactions rather. There's no contract or tie-in period, and you can downgrade to a free plan at any time. Because you've been kind enough to watch today, I'd like to sweeten the deal. Here are some links to all the flows we've built today, so you can install them and get started right away. And there's the Google Sheet as well. I'll also give you your first month free if you sign up in the next 24 hours. You just have to use the coupon code FREE4316. Don't forget this video will be online for a short while later, so you can get those links and that code again if you need to. Finally, just a few resources to be aware of. We have extensive help docs in our help center at support.flowxo.com. There's a lively community at community.flowxo.com. We have a constructive blog over at Medium, medium.com/flowxo, and a final call, watch out for the hashtag #whatthebot on social media to get all the latest bot news. Thanks for watching. I've really enjoyed building that out with you today. Please get signed up and tell me more about your use case. I'm on live chat now. There's already some bits of chat going. We'd be delighted to help you in building it out. Tell me your ideas. I'll be running this session weekly, so feel free to come and watch again if you like. The core content won't change, but if you have a specific use case, perhaps we can build that into the session. A final reminder, if you get onto Twitter and #whatthebot, we'll be sure to give you some retweets there too. Get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. See you all soon. Thanks very much.